Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 645 on Monday, the 18th of August, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll be shocked to hear that magic bean thinking has not made our roads safer. In new car news, you'll hear the word simplicity used a lot. And in points of interest, you get to see how small one can make a lounge. But first, we have some follow-up, and I need to start with last week's show. The more keen-eared of you will have realised that there was no lunchtime read or watch. That is unfortunately because of my error of not spotting that the article I was recommending was actually littered with AI-generated images. And one of the things we have promised you and ourselves is we will not knowingly pass on any articles or videos or anything related to the items we discuss that are generated by AI. So apologies for that. But this week we are making up for it because you've got quite a lengthy read.
Yes, it's a lot of reading. You might want to use an AI to praise... No, don't.
No, don't do that.
Anyway, first piece of, I'm going to say proper follow-up. The joys of the low-emission vehicle grant or electric vehicle grant in the UK. Some vehicles have been announced as part of the list of vehicles that will qualify. There is a link in the show notes to the gov.uk page, which has a list of what the criteria were, and also which vehicles fit under each of the two different bands. Band 1 cars, very quick to list, because the maximum discount available for cars assessed as Band 1 is £3,750. There are no cars eligible for Band 1.
Who said performative?
Exactly. Band 2, available for vehicles assessed as Band 2, is £1,500, up to £1,500. And I will very, very quickly read through the list. You try and spot the odd ones out. So there's a Citroën EC3 and EC3 Aircross, EC4 and the EC4X, the EC5 Aircross and the e-Berlingo. There's the Cupra Born. There are two Nissans, the Araya and the Micra. The Peugeot E208, E2008 and E-Rifter. The Renault's 4, 5, Alpine A290, Megane, Scenic. Megane and Scenic. There's the Vauxhall Astra Electric, Combo Life Electric, Corsa Electric, Frontera Electric, Grandland Electric, and Mokka Electric. And last but not least, there's the Volkswagen ID.3.
Almost feels, Alan, when you've run through that list, that the rules don't seem to apply to some companies.
Well, no. I mean, you'll notice they're pretty much all European built, with the exception of the Nissan Araya, which is built in Japan, which has a very high carbon output electricity generation, unlike pretty much everything else on there.
Yeah, as the government's own judging organisation states themselves.
Yeah. The other thing is, there's the maximum. There is a maximum price, which I now can't see listed on the government website, of I forgot what it was.
£37,000. They have to be under £37,000.
And the interesting thing is, you'll look at some of those and go, well, most of the range doesn't actually fit under £37,000. So I assume it's only the ones at the lower end of the range that I can buy. Well, not so. It seems that as long as there is one version in the range with a battery drivetrain combo that is under £37,000, then any other trim level with that same battery drivetrain combo is also eligible.
Yes.
So
I missed that. I missed that one, and you know how much I went through that, and I still missed it.
But it's such a weird setup. So that's what you'll notice with the Nissan Array. There is like one base level model
as of last Thursday,
which just squeaks under, and therefore most of the rest of the range is, right up to 40 odd thousand, well into the 40,000s is eligible for the grant as well, which seems a bit, I don't know, it just seems a bit off.
Yeah, it's
I
wrong.
think that's my polite British way of saying it. It's
a massive loophole, and now that Nissan have exploited that by doing that, I fully expect so many others to do so. It's ridiculous.
So watch out for there being a very low spec of EVs which miraculously make that threshold, but have a common drivetrain and battery size, and see how easy it is to actually buy one.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the ultimate test on this. Can you actually go out and buy it? Or is this going to be the Tesla $35,000 Model 3 bait and switch move? Because I tell you, if I was working for a car manufacturer, I'd be trying to do the Tesla $35,000 bait and switch move on this one. Because why the heck not? It's not just a loophole. It is a loop tunnel.
Yeah.
It's a loop open cast mine. It is so big and obvious.
Once again, it's demonstrated that whilst they had all this time to think about this, to come up with a sensible plan, to perhaps discuss with SMMT and other organisations an idea of how to make this fair and equitable, they've botched it, basically. And they're going to waste our tax-paid money by giving it to cars that should not be eligible.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily going to benefit the end owner, because just about anyone, including the manufacturers themselves and the dealers and everyone, can apply to this, and fleet buyers, the lot. It's just there's a word I want to put before poor, which Andrew. Oh no, it's me this week, which I would have to edit out otherwise, and I don't want to be doing that because
it's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Yes, it's just awful.
Also in the show notes, there will be a link to an EV-powered article that talks about this, but also to a post from Blue Sky by Nick Gibbs, who demonstrates also his questioning of how a Japanese-made car gets through the environmental criteria, and he shows what the IEA's figures say about Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thanks also to others for chiming in and pointing out that some vehicles were being repriced from a certain date to magically fit under that threshold.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, it's
thanks for the help on that. Right, the final bit of follow-up then. And unfortunately, this isn't going to be in new car news because it's so important that it needs to go to follow-up. But the CITROEN stop drive order that we discussed a few weeks ago regarding airbags has now been extended to include C4, DS4 and DS5 models. If you have a C4 and a DS4 that was built between 2010 and 2011, you will now be part of this recall. DS5 cars that were built between 2010 and 2013, that will be part of the recall. The expansion is expected to include a hair under 10,000 cars on top of the 120,000 cars that were already listed as needing to be affixed. Crikey, CITROEN.
Yeah, CITROEN, Stellantis in general, you really need to sort of get working on those, on your processes for sorting these recalls.
Yeah.
Maybe ask Ford. Ford have a lot of practice at this kind of thing.
96 in America last week. They were up to 96.
Yeah, I saw.
Wow.
I saw.
Anyway, we're on to new news.
Yes. And something which is going to hit Andrew before it hits me. That the UK government is poised to introduce mandatory eye tests for drivers aged above 70 as part of, according to the Autocar article, the first official road safety strategy in more than a decade.
Well, this is all part of a consultation, so it's not actually definite yet. This is a leak as well, on top of everything else, which is really annoying about this, is it feels like we've gone back to the let's govern by leaking and see who screams loudest and then change whatever it was we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a load of stuff included in this, but the one for over 70s and an official eye test seems to be the one that's catching people's eye, I suppose. Maybe it's because it directly appeals, it directly impacts an awful lot of voters. Could well possibly be a reason, if I'm being terribly cynical first thing on a Monday morning. Right at the minute, if you are older, when you're renewing your license, you are allowed to self-report the quality of your eyesight. Yeah, okay, there we go. Other bits and pieces proposals include drivers facing penalty points if they're caught carrying passengers who are not wearing a seatbelt. Currently, it's only if they're under 18, isn't it? That the driver gets the penalty points.
I think so.
Otherwise, it's the passenger themselves. There is also talking about reducing drink driving limits to the same as permitted in Scotland. UK, English and Welsh, drink driving limits are actually amongst the highest in the whole of Europe.
And also, on top of that, they are talking about allowing roadside drug swabs as evidence. Whereas up to now, like with the breathalyzer, if you fail whatever they're doing, you then are taken into custody, and there is a proper test done later because the roadside stuff has up to now not been deemed accurate enough to prove something. So that's interesting. I hope there's an improvement in technology, and this isn't just a stepping over of, well, we believe it's right enough.
Yeah. And at the minute, they're saying that they're not going to introduce a graduated driving license.
But then in the next breath, they say we'll keep everything under review because it's part of the consultation. That's not part of what they're harping on about. It's very annoying.
Do you know what I reckon part of that is about? And it's not to do with road safety at all. Why they're not talking about that or trying not to is because they're having enough trouble testing people as it is for the standard driving test. They don't have enough testers because they're not treated particularly well, not paid particularly well.
Yeah, it could be. But the language is very interesting. When they talk about the older people needing to have mandatory eye tests, etc., it's along the lines of this is to allow. Essentially, it's along the lines of this is to allow the freedoms of everyone else on the road to feel safe, etc. When they talk about the graduated for the younger ones, this is to not restrict their freedoms on the road. You sort of go, well, safety.
Yeah. There's a line in this article that says, an unnamed government source cited by the BBC and The Guardian said the new strategy is aimed at protecting road users and restoring order to our roads.
What?
Yes, exactly. And then I like that actually the next couple of paragraphs from this article by Charlie Martin are pretty good. So I'm going to quote them verbatim. And it said, the changes no doubt come as a response to the plateau in annual numbers of serious injuries and deaths on the road in recent years. According to provisional figures recently published by the government, 29,537 people were seriously injured or killed in road collisions in the UK last year. Little change compared with 2023. Fatalities were up by 1.1% to 1,633. Compared to figures from 2014, incidences of serious injury or death were down 14%, while fatalities fell 8%.
But I thought all the magic technology was going to make us instantly so safe that this wouldn't be a problem. It's almost as though it's not fit for purpose.
It's if you go out and buy a new electric car that has all the new technology, Andrew, as everybody should be doing, then obviously everything will be safer. The problem here is clearly to do with the rise of unsafe vehicles on UK roads, which is a cause for alarm.
It is. As we swiftly move on, there has been a total of 13,109 people who were given points for driving unsafe vehicles in 2024, which was up from 8,614 in 2023, according to this Autocar article linked in the show notes. Now, this is...
Can we add a damn lies and statistics disclaimer here?
Well, I think we need to be clear that the RAC, first of all, the RAC did a Freedom of Information request, and this is them releasing this info that they found. However, it needs to be said, and it is hinted at mentioned in this article, the fact that the numbers have gone up does not necessarily mean that there are more unsafe vehicles on the roads. It could be that the police have targeted stopping vehicles to check for unsafe, particularly in some of the areas where they said the most have been found to be unsafe. It could be that they've got targeted specific projects where they're looking at this sort of issue.
Yes, there's no comparison to this article, and I imagine it would, but I imagine if the numbers were in the figures, it does not state how many stops there were 1 year compared to the last year.
No.
So it's very difficult to say if more people are getting stopped and receiving points because there were more stops targeted at this, or if it's because there are more unsafe vehicles.
However,
it's hard to tell.
It does suggest this if you tie in the number of MOT failures and advisories, which has increased, particularly on some of the aspects that were of the biggest issue, because tyres being unsafe was the highest, where 8,495 drivers out of the 13,109, part of the reason they were pulled was for unsafe tyres. Faulty brakes is next, though. That's not really what I want to hear. I have to say, bad
really.
tyres and faulty brakes. No, really don't do that. This has caused, obviously, the National Tyre Distributors Association to say, well, we should do something about the MOTs. If it's an advisory, there needs to be a follow-up to check someone has actually changed them, etc., etc. Well, that follow-up happens the next year, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. If it needs followed up and actually checked, then it's a fail.
Yes.
Sorry, it kind of already works like that.
Or you change the level at which you are suggesting a tyre becomes unsafe.
Or you just make people more aware that tyres are a thing and a wear part.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a surprise to many.
Yeah. However, this shouldn't really be that much of a surprise to people if we look at the many years we've had the cost of living crisis, and we know levels of maintenance has dropped in the UK fleet.
It's been around so long, it's no longer a cost of living crisis, it's a cost of living reality, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can only stand so much crisis for so long, I'm afraid. I think most of us are the same. Moving on to something completely different. Yay! We talked a little while ago about a new electric sports car built in Britain for Britain, called Longbow.
Hang on, let's not tar them with the Ineos brush just yet.
Yes,
you made that sound that way.
Ineos, Ginetta, TBR, you name it.
Yeah.
It's called Longbow. It is. I don't know. They seem to be using their VC startup money to hire many experienced people. So Mike Flewitt, Michael van der Sade, and Dan Balmer have joined the firm's new advisory board, which the co-founder Daniel Davey, a former Tesla and Lucid engineer, dubbed the Holy Trinity. They're called that because they were the former bosses of McLaren, Alpine, and Lotus, respectively. Longbow was founded in 2023. I think we talked at the time. Bespoke aluminium architecture, 0 to 62 miles, 3.5 seconds, 275 miles range, and only 895 kilograms. Vehicle's not actually, production location hasn't even been announced yet. That should come later this summer, and the first deliveries should come at the end of 2027. And we were chatting before the show, and we're not quite sure if 2027 is just far enough away that you could have forgotten about when they promised 2027 or otherwise. But we're terrible, awful, cynical people.
No, we actually do hope this happens. We really do, because
it's really cool. It is, by the way, it is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's all about lightweight, small battery, economy, all of these kind of things, which is the, in my mind, that's the good way to do EVs.
Yes, absolutely. So we are hoping they achieve it. We support their efforts, but recent history has not been kind to EV startups.
But the stuff here, there's quotes here talking about stuff. Mike Fluitt had said, there we go. However, Fluitt emphasised that the car needs to be viable, which he said was his first bit of advice he gave to a Longbow.
Yep.
So, yeah, makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Good luck to them.
Yep. What's the difference between a Range Rover and a train, Andrew?
Well, if you are JLR lawyers, there is no difference at all, because you consider the public to be so stupid that they cannot spot the difference between a Range Rover and someone suggesting that they buy a Ranger and Rover ticket on a railway site when they wish to take a journey. No, not making this up. I really wish I was. JLR lawyers obviously needed a win somewhere, because they haven't done so well when it comes to litigation recently in the last few years. They threatened to sue National Rail over the names of the long-established train tickets. So these train tickets have been used for many, many years.
Long time.
And now suddenly JLR have decided that people would get confused, that the Ranger and Rover tickets would imply that people were buying a Range Rover. Just madness.
Yes, there are two different ticket types, by the way. There's a Ranger ticket and a Rover ticket, which have different permissions and all the complexities of the UK rail ticket purchase. I have nothing really to add to that, other than give over. If that's JLR's biggest issue at the minute, they've solved an awful lot of stuff.
Well, the original Rail Rover ticket was introduced by British Rail in 1959.
Before the Range Rover, in other words.
Yes. So,
yes. Well,
I wish they'd fought it.
I can see how this is going to go.
I wish they'd fought it, because they've changed the website. The Rail Delivery Group, which runs the National Rail website, they have changed the website so you cannot see Ranger and Rover, and that's a quote, train tickets. The only time you see it is it says Ranger tickets and Rover tickets.
That's just protecting themselves for the time being. This is a frivolous lawsuit and should be dismissed as such.
And anyone who sanctioned it should get a good kicking from management, because you just look like fools.
Speaking of people sanctioning things that should get a good kicking from management.
Yes.
Hyundai, do you want to secure your car? Do you want a security upgrade to stop thieves bypassing your car locks? Well, you're going to have to pay £49. So this tells me, okay, we had a problem. It got flagged. We've worked out a fix for it. However, because it was a problem and we've got a fix, then you're going to have to pay for that fix.
Or you can live with the constant worry that at any moment your car could disappear.
Aye, and good luck. And do you know where the problem with that comes from? Not the fact that the car is likely to disappear, but then the fact that the insurance company is going to say, well, you didn't pay the £49.
Yeah. But this is Hyundai's own problem, Hyundai's own fault, and they want their customers to pay extra to help mitigate the fault they put in the car.
We should point out, by the way, that we went that like the register, we did go to Hyundai but didn't get a response.
No, still waiting on a response.
But it's subsidised. It's a subsidised software and hardware.
So they're already
upgrade
taking some of the fee,
and they're not charging you. It's a customer contribution.
Did you not? Whoever made these decisions in Hyundai, did you not see how much JLR had to spend to secure their cars so people could buy their cars? The £10 million they spent just so that people could go to an insurer and say, can you insure my car? And they would start going, yes again. Come on. This is it's obvious. Anyway, I don't know. I'm really going to start swearing in a minute.
No, don't.
No. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this.
I'm trying to move this along so I have a minimum amount of editing to do here, Andrew.
We're at the end now of that, so let's take a breath.
In the interests of our own sanities, we're going to finish that story there. Which brings us conveniently to Guilt Minute, the quick break in the show when we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel Motoring Podcast with a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand, then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all of that, and something you do, thank you very much. The last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues. I don't know if we've said, we did actually manage to pass that magic 500 subscriber.
Yeah, we said last week. We thanked everyone last week.
We did.
So let's thank them again.
Yes, thank you again. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, do please.
Yes.
Subscribe and hit the bell so you can get notified every time we upload something. Ding. They sent us the little email confirming it.
That was a lovely email. Right, new car news. And still, it's a bit thin on the ground, although that has improved at the back end of last week. Actual new cars being announced. But there are a couple of more higher level things that have been mentioned in the last week, so we're going to cover those. First of all, we're going to cover Ford and their universal EV platform. This is their bold new electric vehicle strategy that will be starting in, 2027. And
absolutely. The Ford announced with a great hullabaloo last week all of this new universal EV platform stuff. We really don't know what the impact is going to be on outside of North America. And given Ford's prowess at product planning, it's very difficult to tell what it's going to be or even make a guess at it.
Yep.
Because it all seemed very, very North America centric.
Well, that's understandable, given the current climate, as in business and societal climate in the US.
Is it, though?
No, it is absolutely, because it's trying to defend that they actually do, they are building in America, even though they are one of the hardest hit thanks to the insane tariff farce.
Yes. Well, they're also, yes, I guess that's true. But also, the EV sales are growing more slowly in North America than anywhere else in the world.
Possibly
so it would make sense to try to then, well,
thanks to the regime.
I don't, not totally. But I think that I would expect them to want to be showing that they're going to be exporting more of these and bringing in more money from outside and all of these kinds of things.
Well, it does mention in the article, because of the new way that the tariff deals have been done with the UK and Europe, as well as elsewhere, the whole point is to be able to export US-built vehicles into those markets with a lower tariff than they've currently got.
Exactly, and that's why I'm kind of surprised that it did seem so North American-centric. But there we go.
Yeah, but is Ford not... Sorry to interrupt you again, and I know I'm doing it again, but isn't Ford trying to make the global car again? Haven't they? I feel they're falling into that trap again, where they're trying to do this.
Don't they continuously fail at that? You would think that they would have got the hang of it.
Everyone fails at this.
It's just not possible to have global cars.
No.
Especially not American ones, because American ones are too big, because they're all derived from the Model T. So they're all too wide. They're all meant to be agricultural vehicles. It's like trying to base a global car off a Land Rover. By which I mean an old style Defender. So a Series 2, Series 3 Defender. And so that's what American cars are derived from, because it started out from an agrarian society. The Model T was the universal vehicle. It was as much tractor as it was car. And because in other countries they started off from being a luxury good, or for being a way of carrying things up small cart tracks as opposed to across wide prairies, which had been covered by, as I say, horses and carts. wide horses and carts, then American cars are too big. They don't fit into smaller spaces, whereas European cars are smaller, so you can use them in big wide spaces. And that is the fundamental issue. Why American cars don't work outside North America. It's been the same year after year after year. And then if you try and sell the European cars into America, they go, it's all far too small. We can't possibly have that out here in Iowa with our great wide straight roads. Why do we need one of these tiny little economy cars? Doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either American or it's rest of world.
Yeah.
But
maybe they can use elements of the platform, which to underpin.
Well, it is a scalable platform.
It's
like everybody else is doing.
Well, and has been doing, yes. So this is where we go to what have you been doing to just come out with this grand announcement now?
I mean, there's a new production process, which is basically a normal production process, but everything ends up coming together. And they're also talking about using, forgive me for using the marketing term, gigacasting. So doing large castings, which, that's great. It goes together really well on an assembly line. It is an absolute sod if anything damages it in any way, shape, or form, both to detect the damage and then to repair it. This is designed for manufacturing, not designed for repair. And I don't know if manufacturers have noticed this, but actually cars hang around for a little while and generally need repaired.
Absolutely. But what is interesting is that Jim Farley, who's the CEO of Ford, when making this announcement, did say, and I'm quoting here from the Autocar article, he said, "There are no guarantees with this project. It's a bet. There is risk. I cannot 100% say this will work. There is an automotive graveyard full of projects that have not worked." I find that very interesting to come out with that statement.
Well, I mean, the Volkswagen ID platform is the closest one, really. To that, it hasn't necessarily worked because it was hurried.
Yeah, well, everything on that was hurried. Yes, yeah. Anyway, do you want to take us on to Kia in the UK and how they've simplified things?
But they're simplifying things by getting rid of engines and cutting down model lines. So the Kia Picanto will only be available with one engine, the 67 horsepower variant of the 1 litre petrol triple. The 62 horsepower and the 76 horsepower 62 horsepower 1 litre and the 76 horsepower 1.2 litre have been axed. The Kia Ceed and Ceed station wagon, I saw one of those the other day. I'm surprised they were still on sale, have also gone. However, the X-Ceed has gained a 1.6 litre petrol 4-cylinder engine in its top rung guise. And there's some other swapping around as well. So a little bit of stuff to disappear, stuff to appear. Obviously, they've got the new K4, which will fill the gap of the Ceed SW and the Proceed at some point later this year. So there's a certain amount, I'm sure, of simplifying production around the world to make room for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, to round out new car news, there is another urgent recall, this time from Stellantis, and it covers 24 car models over the potential of an engine fire risk. So do listen to this one. If you had a Stellantis car that was built between 2023 and 2025 that has the 1.2 litre petrol engine, you need to pay attention. Or if you know friends or family that have them, point this article that is linked in the show notes from Car Dealer to them. It covers Peugeot, Citroëns, DS, Vauxhall, Alfa Romeo, Jeep, Fiat. There is there's an awful lot of models involved here. Anything that had that 1.2 litre petrol engine, which is their ubiquitous petrol engine, to be fair, then you need to get in touch with your local dealer. Stellantis say that they're in the process of trying to contact all owners. Looking at the
particularly
Citroën
if
models,
you're the second or third owner,
Citroën models, and I mean my sympathy is with you, Citroën dealers. You are getting a right old kicking at the moment.
Yeah, especially if you're the second or third owner, you bought it ex-lease or whatever, or from a supermarket, a car supermarket, or any of these, or privately. Do make sure you're the people who are least likely to be updated in the database. So do please check in.
Yep.
Designers Mood Board. Xiaomi has recruited a former BMW designer, Kai Langer, former head of design at BMW i. He worked for BMW for over 20 years, but he joined Xiaomi on the 1st of August. I don't know whether this is a good thing or a bad thing.
I think we have to reserve judgment until a design is released.
Yes, but I guess one way or t'other, it should stop Xiaomi's being quite so generic.
Yes, details are very scant on exactly what he's doing, how involved he is. It's all based off his own LinkedIn post. Not even the Chinese media knew about this, really. So we will. It's a big quote we use often on this show, but we will have to wait and see.
Points of interest then. Andrew, you found a very interesting article from the Journal of Historical Criminology. Now,
one that we often refer to.
Yes, this is a chunky article with many references and stuff. Andrew's going to explain it, but you've really got to read this because this is very relevant, not just to motoring, but to stuff in general.
Yeah. It is titled Crime-Driven Technology and the Motor Bandit. The Motor Bandit bit is what grabbed my attention initially, I have to say, because I'd never heard that term before. But apparently in the interwar years, there was this, it's almost like a phenomenon, and this almost, or if not actual panic, about criminals using cars to facilitate the naughty things that they did. And they were dubbed motor bandits by the press. But this really long article does explain how the actual fears or the fears far outweighed the actual reality of how much the criminals were using motor cars and how much crime was being committed. Not that we have any examples of such hysteria whipped up by media and such like at the moment at all, is there, Alan? I mean,
no.
Who mentioned a small boat?
Boats and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So it is very, as Alan said, it's very pertinent to today. But it also goes on to explain how the Metropolitan Police develop techniques in which to counter some of the aspects of criminals using the motor car. And then also ultimately on how that changed urban design to some degree in the early part of the 21st century. So do read this. It's a fascinating thing. Whilst it's chunky, it was really interesting to run through all this. But yeah, God, imagine being called a motor bandit.
It is such a cool term.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a cool term, but really interesting article. Well worth. It's a good 10 to 15 minutes of your time to read that at least.
Yeah.
Probably a little longer to consume it all as well.
Yeah.
List of the week this week. Matthew McConnell in Autocar, the best dashboards of the 70s and 80s. I'm in a slight huff with this because
you're in a huff with every list at the moment. Last week you were as well.
It doesn't have the one I would choose. But there are some great. There are some fine alternatives. So, Andrew, which one would you choose in here?
Okay, if ladies and gentlemen would like to open their slide decks, and there are an awful lot of good choices in here, and if anyone was thinking that it's only a modern or a recent phenomenon of car makers working very hard to make a interior overcomplicated or too simplified, no. There are many fine examples here. For those who decry the lack of buttons, you are well served in some of these. And I'm going to take you to slide 12, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that's different from the one I've chosen. So
well, that's good. And the Renault 25 from 1983. Apart from the steering wheel, that's almost, with the leather armchair up front, that's almost the setup I want for editing podcasts. It's just,
they are super comfortable if you've ever been in one. And, great for crossing France on the autoroute.
Just amazing. And I love the high-level air vent.
Yeah, the whole thing is brilliant. It's for keeping you cool as you drive to the south of France without necessarily having air conditioning.
Just ace, just awesome. Go on then, because there's 20, so you obviously get a pick.
I was going to choose the Aston Martin Lagonda Series 2. Ultimate early attempts to get rid of buttons and replace them with touch bits, which didn't necessarily work, and screens which didn't necessarily work, and all sorts of stuff which didn't necessarily work. But it looks amazing. So yes,
yep.
Lots
do
of stuff
have a
that doesn't
flick
necessarily
through.
work, but I do like it an awful lot. So it's very cool. The one that I feel is missing, by the way, the E30 BMW 3 Series, just the completely opposite of the Lagonda, but it is beautifully clear to read both the instrument binnacle and navigating the way through the various switches for various options and things. The only bit that was a real footer was the little trip computer.
We're almost going to have to include that on the drinking game, Alan's drinking game, I think, soon.
No, I absolutely love the E30 dashboard. It's just the best.
It is very nice, to be fair. Okay, let's finish the show with an and finally, and it's from Car Scoops, and it is titled Toyota's new minivan lets you create a lounge, office, or bedroom inside. Now, this is what we would call an MPV, even.
Would we?
We would call an MPV. And it has 3 rows of seats, which you wouldn't necessarily be driving all the time. However, the really, really cool thing about this is that it has the ability to add modular furniture, so you can change the use of the back of the car into, as it said in the title, office, a lounge, or a bedroom. And the cleverness of the design of the furniture really, really stands out. There's a video that's in this article which you do have to press and watch. Just gives you a sort of brief outline of what you can do inside. And I love how clever it is.
Yeah, you don't get the last row of seats if you have the Geo trim, but you do get either one of 4 different sort of standard packages, or you can just buy the bits and pieces independently. It is really smart. It's worth mentioning that, as with the standard Sienta, the interior features a deodorizing water and oil repellent fabric upholstery, which is available in black, fromage, or khaki shades. So that's convenient, I suppose.
Yes.
But it's very cool. And watch the video as well.
Yeah.
If you do follow the link through to the Car Scoop site, watch the marketing video, because it is, well, it's Japanese, isn't it? It's cool. It's good. Well, that was a great find. Well done, Andrew. I like that one a lot.
No, thanks. No, I very much in favour of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's us for this week.
It is us for this week. Yes, no particular parish notes.
We'll be back to the normal day next week.
I was going to say normal schedule next week was the only thing I was going to say as well. But until then, don't forget, between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts for the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at motoringpodcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, in the meantime, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to yes, sometimes. Best way to get in touch with me is via Blue Sky if you search for Crack Windscreen, or failing that, if you prefer LinkedIn, I am on there. And thank you to the recent influx of people who have sought to connect. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way to do that is on Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's Bradley.bsky.social. We'll be back very soon. Until then, I say, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.